Hello everyone, today I'm going to make another painting tutorial for you all, and for this painting tutorial I have used white canvas panel, but when I start painting you'll see that it's actually black in color. And what I did to make it black was like I coated my white canvas panel into black gesso. So either you turn your white canvas or canvas panel into with black gesso if you in case you don't have the black one. So that's what I did. If you have the black canvas panel, that's enough, that's good for you. So but don't worry if you don't have the black one, so we can turn it into black and we can turn it into white if you want. So the colors I have used in my paintings are titanium white, ultramarine blue, lemon yellow, yellow ochre, vermilion, viridian, Mars black, burnt umber, raw umber, and the very important gessos I wanted to use and I had used are the white gesso and the black gesso, and we had mixed it to turn into gray gesso. If you have the gray gesso, that's good because we are going to need it. And the brushes I have used in this painting are flat brush 3x4 and flat brush half 1x2. Fan brush I had used, which was number 4. I had also used a palette knife and another brush, which is Artist Loft 8. One more important brush I had used, and it's not going to be like very you don't have to have a very famous brand of something. It's a very common brush we all have. If you buy a set of brushes, you can get it in that and free, and which generally we don't use. And that is the common sponge brush, so we are going to use it in our painting. So can we all get started? Let's begin. So this is how the painting is going to look like in the end. Here you see that I have sketched a picture of a reindeer. Now you have to take white gesso and kitchen paper towel. You have to squeeze it, dip into white gesso, and just keep tapping. Now you can see that the center part of the white gesso is the whitest part, and as I'm going outside the circle, it's going to be in light shade. This is why I have done is because I want the center part to be the most brightest part, where the sun rays are going to fall from fall outside to the jungle, and as I go outside it's going to be dark. Now with the help of black gesso, I'm using the tree trunks, but before you use the black gesso, remember to keep your white gesso to be completely dry. It has to be absolutely dry when you are using the black gesso, because if you do not wait for the white gesso to get dry, it will be mixed with the black gesso, and it's not going to look the way we want the painting to look like. Now I'm going to paint my reindeer, and when I finish that, you will see that my reindeer is not what I had actually sketched before I started painting, because that I actually had sketched it because I wanted my reindeer to look like that, but when I started painting it was all hidden. But I knew that it was all hidden behind the white gesso, so there was no need for me to erase it because it's already not visible. So, and this reindeer is little different. I mean, this one is looking forward straight to you. and the one which I had sketched, he was looking on the left side, so it's a little different, but yeah, it gave me an idea where I should place my reindeer. So sketching the animal, the reindeer, is not so important. One more time, I want to remind you that when you are working with gesso, you have to wait till the previous coating is dry. So here my white gesso is dry, my black tree trunks are dry. Now with the help of black gesso with a mix of little white, I'm painting the reindeer. Here in this way I have mixed a little white because I want the reindeer to look more visible and not hidden behind the shade of the tree. If you are not going to mix white in that black gesso, it will not be visible to anyone. So it's better, you want your animal to look visible to the people you want your painting to see. Especially when you are painting the body part of a reindeer, which is exactly in front of the tree trunk, you need to make it little more visible by mixing white and black gesso. With a thin brush, make the elks, make the horns. It's a very easy painting. Anyone can paint it, believe me, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult at all. But yes, you need to use your brushes nicely. Actually, it's very interesting to use the colors, the brush, the paints. It's always fun. At least for me, it is. When you're making the legs and the tail, keep in mind that it should not get merged with the shade of the tree. The legs should be visible, the tail should be visible. And if it is not visible, if it is equally black, mix a little white in that and just give it a lighter shade. Not too much of white is required. You don't have to paint it white, but you have to make it just visible. Somewhere I use white to look more visible, somewhere I use it dark. I want it that way. So I'm making my tree trunk, which is visible, which you can see behind the rear legs of the reindeer. I'm making it more black. Now when the reindeer is dry, I feel that I need to make more trees, so I'm making that. I always keep on working on my painting till I feel that this is what I wanted. So I keep painting, I keep adding things to my painting. Now add more branches and small branches. The more branches, when we grow, when we go up to the top of the trees, the branches are more as compared to the bottom. So make many more branches. When all the gesso, all the drawings, the previous drawings are dry, you can make many more trees if you like. But remember, there are always twigs and branches, bushes in the jungle. It's loaded with trees and plants. Excuse me. So here I'm adding one more tree. It looks shorter because for me it's quite behind, quite far, so only this much part is visible. Make small branches, make small plants, and the bushes where your reindeer is. He's in the middle of the jungle. Now with the flat brush, sponge brush, you have to mix white gesso with black gesso to give it a look of gray gesso, and just do tap everywhere in the lower part of the canvas panel. Just keep tapping, give different shades. Now with white gesso, when you're done with this, it depends on you. It's not specifically, I won't say it's very specific to give white shade to some place. It depends on your choice. But yes, you have to look for the place where you want the path to be visible. As you go down to the canvas, it has to go wider, because for you it's a perspective that it's coming, this is closer to you, and the narrowest part, which is going inside the jungle, it's far from you. That's why it's narrow. And then again tap with a mix of white and black gesso to give it a shabby look, because it's not a concrete road of a city, it's just a path for the pedestrians to go inside, because it's dirty, but yes, no plants grow in that area. So just keep on tapping. Till now I have been using only gesso, nothing else, no other paint. Now with the fan brush, you can make the leaves of the trees. Keep moving in a fancy way. Just flowing with the music, like bending the fan brush left to right, right to left. just move it. And if you feel the need, like I'm feeling the need of making many more branches in the trees with absolutely black gesso. Make some plants and twigs on the part where you had used sponge brush. Remember that plain part where you had used sponge brush, it has to be completely, absolutely dry. Otherwise there is no point of using black gesso there. It can be mixed, it can be blended with the other shades of white. So just to make it more nice, wait for some time till your gesso is completely dry. Make some twigs on the path also. I feel there is white more than requirement, so I'm just blending it a little more, adding black to it and white. On the muscle of the leg, I want it to be more visible. I want the leg to be more healthier. Actually, the animals have very strong legs. I'm adding a more tree trunk. In jungles, all the jungles have n number of trees. So I'm just adding a few because I wanted to give it a look of a very dense forest. But yes, of course, again I will say that I won't be specific about the numbers of the trees I want. But this is what I wanted. Please ignore the hands of my son who is eating cheese. It's not easy to work when the kids are around and they're always attracted towards what mama is doing. Why is she not talking to me? So generally I work. I have no other option, so I work. When my son is around me, I just have to keep him busy somewhere else. Sometimes I ask him to see what I'm doing and learn from me. Now with the brush, which is very hard, I'm using that. It's not important to use a specific brush now, but yes, I just wanted few thin leaves. That's why I use that brush. I'm making more branches. Make as many branches as you can. With the help of black gesso, make more branches on the top of the tree because that's the most dense part, the dense part of the tree. But in the jungle, the ground is always also dense because it has many more small plants which grow under the thick trees, the big trees. The jungle has always room for all the small plants and twigs and flowers to bloom. But as we look up, we see that the sky is less visible because all the tree looks like umbrella, all covered with leaves. But remember, when you make branches, leave that part which you had left for the sun rays to fall out from, because you want that part to be visible. And when you are using palette knife, you can see that I'm using plastic one which I had got in my value pack of the brush. So I just use this one on this right side of the tree. Use the way I'm using. Now use ultramarine blue and just keep brushing on the top portion of the canvas panel. As you come in the place of white gesso, do not make it dark. Just leave that portion little light in shade because the sun rays are coming from that area, and do not cover that area with the leaves too. So you have to keep in mind where the sun is coming from. You have to decide that which area you have chosen. Especially you had to decide when you start just tapping your white gesso on the canvas. So I wanted that part which I had used. So it depends on your choice where you wanted the sun rays to fall from. So I'm adding a little more white on in the center with ultramarine blue to make it more bright. Give the strokes as if it's coming like in the straight rays, but as you go in the corner, the top of the corners, keep it dark without any mix of any white and ultramarine blue. But when you work in the center, use white to make it look more bright. Now I'm using green on the bottom of the trees. And yellow ochre on the ground. Now you can see the white gesso is covered with yellow shade. You just have to move your brush roughly, not specifically. That's why I said that this painting can be made by anyone. It's not difficult. You don't have to be very smooth and specific in this painting. But yes, move your brush in left or right manner. Excuse me. I'm using some burnt umber now. The jungle has all sorts of shades. Some are pale, some are bright, some are green. Add some green radiant to make it look more colorful. Add some white. And some lemon yellow and green, and just keep tapping. Tap, 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 tap. You can tap it a little on the road also, on the way which is going inside the jungle. Keep tapping. Paint the area which is untouched with the paints, with the acrylic paints. All these colors are acrylic paints, not gesso. Give a shade to the white gesso on the bottom of the tree trunks on the right sides, which I did with the palette knife. Now on the top, on the corners, again I'm making it more bright. I waited for some time because I wanted the coat of ultramarine blue to be dry so that I can coat it again. I'm using the brush, the flat brush, with a mix of white. Give a few strokes of the sun rays to make it look that they are falling outside. But when you are going to work specifically with the rays, you have to use the fan brush. That's going to make it look more nice. Use inner circular motion. Now the fan brush is going to help me make the rays more look beautiful. And I prefer making the rays fall on the ground instead of going up. They'll fall more down. And the reason is that the trees are the top portion of the trees are covered with more leaves, so the rays get stuck in that, and the lower portion have tree trunks which have more space to let the rays fall on the ground. So here the rays are. Just take white, use the fan brush with delicately, use the fan brush very delicately, just the tip of that. Do not bend the bristles. I just want a little more ultramarine blue, and in the center I want a little white mixed with ultramarine blue. Keep working on the area where the sunlight is coming from. At least I prefer. Keep on working on my painting till I'm satisfied, till I feel that yes, this is what I wanted. Add some more rays, some bright, some pale. I'm making more plants and twigs on the ground, and here I'm signing. Well, I would have done it in the end, but later I realized I need to work on the tree trunks because they look very dark, so I'm using burnt umber to avoid that bright look. But this is, yes, another shade. It's going to give a very different shade. when it's all done and when it's all dry, little dry, not exactly very dry, but when it's half dry almost, you can use a raw umber, which is a little darker shade of brown again. It will be more blend with burnt umber. It will give the jungle dark look, a dense look, as we wanted it to look like. So here's the another shade of color. Use it roughly, not specifically. You have to hide all the burnt burnt umber. I mean, do not hide all the shade you had got from burnt umber when you're using raw umber. Do not hide. Sorry. Makes a little black also. Just use the edges, the blade of the palette knife. So here it's done. It looks like. Hi guys, please like, share and comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more updates.